When you choose to walk away, when you choose silence instead of reaction, time begins its work. It becomes the invisible force that reveals the truth about everything about her feelings, her intentions, and your worth. At first, she might not feel anything. Her ego convinces her that you'll be back, that your silence is temporary, that you'll chase the way you always did. But as the days stretch into weeks and the noise of her distractions fade, that same silence begins to whisper things she doesn't want to hear. It reminds her of what she had and how easily she let it go. It forces her to face the consequences of her choices. That's when time becomes the ultimate truth teller. It doesn't lie, it doesn't rush, and it doesn't care about pride. It just reveals what's real. You see, people can hide behind words, behind social media posts, behind the illusion of being fine, but they can't hide from time. Time exposes what's authentic. It magnifies regret. It breaks down ego. When she doesn't hear from you, she starts to wonder why. She replays every conversation, every look, every mistake. She begins to question the decision to distance herself. The longer it goes, the more her mind fills the silence with memories. She remembers your consistency, your tone, your calm presence. She remembers the way you made her feel safe, even when she didn't deserve it. And that's when the hurt begins to grow, not because of what you do, but because of what you don't do. Your silence carries weight. It's not the silence of weakness. It's the silence of a man who knows his value. In Corey Wayne's philosophy, the strongest move a man can make is to do nothing, to let time reveal the truth that emotion cannot. And in the framework of Jordan Peterson's thought, this restraint isn't avoidance, it's mastery over chaos. You're not reacting from fear or anger, you're allowing order to restore itself. By walking away, you're letting nature take its course. If something was real, it will return. If it was temporary, it will dissolve. Either way, you win, because truth is all that remains when time does its work. As weeks pass, her pride begins to crumble. The excitement she once felt in gaining distance fades into emptiness. The attention she sought from others starts to feel hollow. She begins to realize that validation without depth is meaningless. You represented something she couldn't replace: stability, focus, and self-respect. The very things she took for granted now become the things she longs for. Every day that passes without your voice becomes a reminder of what she lost. It's not about missing the messages, the calls, or the attention. It's about missing the presence that anchored her in ways she didn't understand until it was gone. Time breaks illusions. It exposes the superficiality of rebound relationships and fleeting attention. It shows her that lust and attraction fade, but emotional connection leaves an imprint that can't be erased. You become the benchmark against which she measures every new man. And when she realizes that no one compares to the peace, direction, and strength you brought into her life, that's when regret becomes pain. The same pride that once fueled her detachment now becomes the wall trapping her inside her own mind. She wants to reach out, but her ego stops her. She wants to forget you, but your silence makes forgetting impossible. This is why patience is a weapon. You don't need to chase, to explain, or to remind her of your worth. Time will do that for you. Every day of your silence builds contrast in her world. The more chaotic her emotions become, the more your absence feels like clarity. The longer she goes without you, the more she begins to understand the truth, that she wasn't just missing a person, she was missing balance. She was missing a man who didn't need her to feel complete, but chose her out of strength. And as time breaks her illusions, it rebuilds your purpose. You start to see the power in restraint. You realize that walking away was never about punishing her, it was about protecting your peace. You become sharper, more focused, more grounded. You stop waiting for her to come back because you've already moved forward. And that's the paradox. The moment you no longer need her to return is the moment she feels the full weight of what she lost. Time doesn't just break her, it refines you. It tests your patience, your discipline, and your belief in yourself. Every day you stay silent, you grow stronger in ways she can't see. You become the man who no longer needs validation because he understands his own worth. And that's when you realize the truth Corey Wayne and Jordan Peterson both point toward in their own ways. That strength is not shown through control over others, but through control over yourself. Let time do what it does best. It will show her what you always knew, that your absence speaks louder than your words ever could, and that sometimes the greatest power you can show a woman is to simply let time break her while it builds you. Detachment is not an act of cruelty, it's a declaration of strength. It's what separates a man who reacts from a man who leads. When you finally stop trying to convince someone of your worth, you reclaim the very power you once gave away. Walking away doesn't mean you stopped caring. It means you started respecting yourself more than her indecision. Most men don't understand this. They think silence means losing her. But in reality, detachment forces her to confront something she's been avoiding. The truth that your presence carried value she didn't fully appreciate. You're not punishing her by stepping back. You're allowing the natural consequences of her choices to unfold. Corey Wayne often teaches that a man's job is not to chase validation, but to live in alignment with his self-worth. When you detach, you silently communicate that you're not dependent on her attention, approval, or affection to feel complete. That kind of emotional independence is rare, and it's exactly what makes it magnetic. A man who walks away without bitterness, without resentment, carries an aura of mystery and calm that no amount of words can replicate. He's not trying to manipulate her emotions or prove his value. He simply lives it. Jordan Peterson talks about integrating chaos and order. When you detach, that's exactly what you're doing. You're bringing balance to your internal world. You're choosing order over emotional chaos. You're saying, I refuse to let your uncertainty dictate my direction. You take responsibility for your reactions, for your peace, and for your future. This shift isn't about her anymore. It's about you evolving into someone who no longer allows external circumstances to define his inner stability. And that's when your energy changes. People can sense it. She can sense it. Suddenly, the man who once seemed predictable becomes unpredictable. The one who was always available becomes untouchable. At first, detachment will feel uncomfortable. You'll want to reach out, to explain yourself, to fix things. That's your ego craving control. But every time you resist that urge, you strengthen your emotional muscles. You learn to sit with uncertainty, to let the silence breathe. You realize that her validation was never the source of your worth. It was only the illusion of it. The real power was always within you. You were just too distracted to see it while you were chasing approval. Detachment strips away the noise and brings clarity. As she begins to feel your absence, she'll sense the shift in energy. The calmness you carry will disturb her because it represents something she lost control over. She'll wonder if you've moved on, if you've met someone else, if you ever cared at all. That uncertainty will eat at her more than any message you could have sent. Your silence forces her to reflect on why she needed constant reassurance from you, and why she took your stability for granted. It's in this space of confusion that the truth hits her. You were the one holding the emotional foundation together. Without your steady energy, everything starts to feel unstable. Detachment is not about indifference, it's about perspective. You're not ignoring her, you're prioritizing yourself. You're giving both of you the space to see things clearly. When emotions settle, truth emerges. If there's something real between you, she'll feel drawn back, not because you pressured her, but because your energy now reflects strength, not need. If she doesn't return, you still win because you didn't compromise your self-respect to keep someone who couldn't see your worth. In the modern world, where instant gratification and emotional dependency dominate relationships, true detachment is revolutionary. It's the mark of maturity and masculine control. You're no longer moved by impulsive emotions or temporary feelings. You're guided by principles, respect, discipline, and purpose. That's what makes you different. That's what makes her realize that your presence wasn't just another connection. It was a stabilizing force she may never find again. As time goes on, your silence will speak volumes. She'll test you with small gestures, likes, messages, or indirect attempts to get your attention. Don't react. Your value isn't proven through responses. It's proven through restraint. You're not punishing her. You're showing her that love without mutual respect has no foundation. You're showing her that your world doesn't collapse when she walks away, because your center of gravity exists within you. Detachment is power because it's the only state where love can exist freely without fear, without control, without desperation. When you detach, you allow yourself to be whole, and only from that place can genuine connection grow. If she returns, it will be because she chooses to, not because you begged. If she doesn't, it's because she wasn't aligned with the man you're becoming. Either way, you're at peace. That's what true masculine strength is. It's not loud, it's not reactive, it's not driven by ego. It's silent confidence. It's standing tall in your values while the world tries to pull you into chaos. Detachment isn't the end of love. It's the beginning of self-respect. And when you finally master that, you'll understand why silence, not chasing, is what truly breaks her, because while she's trying to fill the void you left, you're busy filling your life with purpose, discipline, and growth. When a woman decides to walk away, she often believes she's chasing freedom, excitement, or a new beginning. She tells herself that leaving will bring peace, that being without you will make her happier. But as time unfolds, the illusion begins to fade. What once felt like liberation slowly turns into emptiness. That's the emotional contrast time creates. The painful realization that what she thought was freedom was actually the loss of stability. You were her grounding force, the calm amid her chaos, the structure that gave her emotions meaning. Without that, the world around her starts to feel uncertain. Every new interaction, every conversation, feels shallow compared to the depth she once had. That's the beginning of the emotional unraveling. At first, she'll try to fill the void. She'll distract herself with social media, attention, or new people. It might work for a while, but none of it lasts, because emotional highs built on validation always fade. What remains is the quiet ache underneath, the realization that no one brings the same peace she once felt with you. She may not admit it out loud, but deep down she begins to compare. She compares how you spoke to her, how you handled conflict, how you led with calmness instead of control. That's the emotional contrast that begins to haunt her. You were the steady presence she could rely on, even when she didn't want to. Without you, she's forced to face the instability within herself. In Corey Wayne's teachings, a man provides emotional safety through his composure and purpose. He doesn't react emotionally, he responds with clarity. When that kind of man walks away, it leaves an irreplaceable void. Most women have never experienced that kind of emotional grounding before, and when they lose it, they feel the loss deeply. The same energy that once made her feel secure now becomes the energy she craves when she can't find it anywhere else. The longer you stay silent, the stronger that contrast becomes. Every day without you magnifies the difference between temporary attention and genuine connection. This is what truly breaks her. It's not your absence alone, but the emotional imbalance that grows in its place. She begins to realize that the world outside of your influence is less predictable, less secure. The men she encounters might flatter her, but they lack substance. They can entertain her, but they can't ground her. And that's when nostalgia sets in, not for the memories, but for the asterisk feeling asterisk of safety you provided. She remembers the tone of your voice, the calm way you handled problems, the steadiness that made her feel protected. You weren't perfect, but you were consistent, and that consistency becomes her emotional compass long after you've gone. Jordan Peterson often speaks about how meaning arises from responsibility and structure. When she left, she unknowingly stepped away from that structure. She traded stability for impulsiveness, and now she's forced to confront the consequences. Freedom without order becomes chaos. That chaos eventually turns inward. It manifests as confusion, self-doubt, and emotional exhaustion. She starts questioning her choices, wondering why peace feels so far away. The truth is, she didn't lose peace when she lost you. She lost the mirror that reflected her best self. You brought out a version of her that felt grounded, safe, and understood. Without that presence, she feels fragmented. Meanwhile, you continue to grow. You use the silence to build discipline, to focus on your purpose, to become even more centered. While she's trying to escape her emotional turmoil, you're mastering yours. That's the part that amplifies the contrast even more. The man who once seemed available now becomes the man she can't reach, not because you're hiding, but because you've evolved. You're no longer emotionally accessible in the same way. Your focus has shifted inward, and that's what makes your absence even more powerful. She senses that you've moved beyond her reach, and that realization stings. The pain she feels is not revenge, it's reflection. Time has turned your silence into a mirror, showing her the difference between what she wanted and what she truly needed. The longer she goes without you, the clearer it becomes. Every failed conversation, every shallow interaction reminds her of what she lost. She begins to crave the depth, the balance, the quiet strength she once resisted, and that's when regret starts to take root. It's not a sudden emotional collapse. It's a slow burn that intensifies with every passing week. You see, emotional contrast is nature's way of teaching lessons that words can't. You can't explain your worth. It has to be felt through your absence. You can't prove your value. It has to be discovered through her experience. When she finally feels that pain, it's not just because you're gone. It's because she now sees who you truly were. The man who stood firm, who didn't chase, who walked away with peace, becomes the standard, and once she realizes that, the world looks different. No one feels the same, no one connects the same, no one brings the same energy. That's the silent revenge of emotional contrast. It doesn't destroy her instantly, it humbles her slowly. And while time breaks her, it continues to build you. Because the longer she lives in regret, the stronger your foundation becomes. You've learned the power of patience, the wisdom of silence, and the beauty of letting time reveal truth. You no longer need to prove yourself because the world, and she eventually does it for you. Silence is one of the most powerful forces in human relationships, yet it's the one most people fear. When you finally choose silence, when you stop explaining, arguing, or chasing, you enter a space that transforms both you and her. For her, silence becomes a mirror. It forces her to see herself clearly without the comfort of your attention to distract her from her own emotions. For you, silence becomes the forge where strength and self-control are born. You stop living in reaction and instead start living in intention. The decision not to reach out is not weakness, it's discipline. It's the understanding that your worth doesn't need to be proven and your peace doesn't need to be negotiated. In Corey Wayne's philosophy, Masculine strength lies in doing less when emotions push you to do more. The man who can remain calm and silent in uncertainty demonstrates a level of emotional control that few possess. This silence speaks louder than any message ever could. It communicates self-respect, confidence, and maturity. It tells her you're not available for emotional games. You're no longer the man reacting to her absence. You're the man creating meaning in your own. And as time passes, that silence begins to work on her mind in ways that words never could. Every day she doesn't hear from you. She wonders what you're thinking, what you're doing, whether you've moved on. That curiosity slowly turns into longing. Jordan Peterson often says that transformation begins in voluntary suffering. Silence is that suffering. It's deliberate, painful, but necessary. You endure the discomfort of not reaching out, not being validated, not getting closure, because you understand the deeper reward that comes with it: clarity, peace, and power. Every moment you resist the urge to break the silence, you're proving to yourself that you're not a slave to emotion. You're building internal order from chaos. You're not running away from pain. You're mastering it, and in that mastery you grow into a man she can't forget. For her, your silence becomes a constant reminder of what she lost. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's haunting. The quiet starts to echo in her thoughts. She begins to fill that space with memories, with what-ifs, with regret. She wonders if you ever cared, if you've replaced her, if you've stopped thinking about her completely. The irony is that your silence, which she once mistook for indifference, becomes the very thing that draws her back mentally and emotionally. She starts to realize that your calmness wasn't coldness, it was strength, that your distance wasn't punishment, it was dignity. The longer it continues, the more her pride erodes and her heart begins to ache. But the true power of silence isn't in how it affects her, it's in how it transforms you. It forces you to confront your own emotions, your own weaknesses, your own dependency on validation. In that stillness, you discover who you are without the noise of her presence. You start focusing on your goals, your discipline, your purpose. You begin to rebuild yourself from the inside out. The same energy that once went into chasing now goes into creating. You stop trying to control outcomes and start trusting the process. That's when silence becomes sacred. It's no longer about her. It's about evolution. Over time, your silence begins to reflect growth. You no longer think about proving anything or winning her back. You've moved into a different realm of strength, a quiet, grounded confidence that doesn't need recognition. This is the kind of transformation that commands respect. It's the shift from emotional dependency to masculine independence. And when she sees this change, whether through your actions, your energy, or your absence, it shakes her. She realizes you've become someone new, someone she no longer has power over, someone she can't easily reach. That realization is what truly breaks her. It's not that you're gone, it's that you've evolved beyond the version of yourself she thought she could control. Silence is both a teacher and a test. It teaches you patience, resilience, and inner balance, but it also tests your faith in yourself. There will be moments of doubt, nights where you question whether walking away was right. But those are the moments when you build character. You learn that peace is not found in control. It's found in surrendering to the flow of time. Corey Wayne's principle of do nothing doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you let the natural order of things reveal truth. If it's meant for you, it will return. If it's not, silence will clear the path for something greater. In the end, your silence becomes the boundary between who you were and who you've become. It's the invisible wall that separates weakness from wisdom. She may eventually reach out, not because you chased, but because your strength drew her back. Or she may never return, But by then it won't matter. You'll have already transcended the need for her validation. That's the essence of transformation through silence. It breaks her ego but builds your soul. Time may make her miss you, but silence makes you master yourself. And once you master yourself, no loss can ever destroy you again.